Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our very first live Student Voices virtual panel discussion. Today's focus is on, of course, all that has occurred with year 2020 this year and encouraging our students who are now going into the winter break for 2020. And so I'm going to jump right in. For those of you who don't know much about MCCJ, which we represent the organization that is sponsoring this panel discussion. MCCJ's mission is to advance understanding and respect among people of all cultures, religions, and races. Greater Miami experiences rapid growth and constant demographic changes, as you all are aware. And sometimes that causes mistrust, fear, prejudice, and even tension among the different groups that call our entire area home. Since 1935, when MCCJ began, our agency has served as a vital force of improving intergroup relations by creating safe havens for dialogue, training inclusive leaders, highlighting the benefits of diversity, and building bridges of understanding and respect among our different communities and different cultures. Student Voices programs that is held in all of the high schools throughout Miami-Dade County. Some of them are active and some of them are currently inactive. But since 1991, MCCJ has trained multiple Miami high school students to be empathetic leaders in our communities through what started as the Heritage Panels. Heritage Panels is really something that MCCJ started as a need arise to address a lot of the diversity issues that we were having as Miami began to grow. That has now evolved into Student Voices because it is our students who lead the charge in sharing their stories and supporting each other. In response to the COVID-19 global pandemic, and with a grant from the Miami Foundation, as well as support from the Corporation for National Community Service, the AmeriCorps program, and Volunteer Florida, MCCJ has redesigned its program to continue the Student Voices panel presentations in this now virtual format. We also want to give thanks to the Bachelor Foundation, who provided a generous grant donation to encourage us to keep this program in a virtual format. So we want to say thank you to all of them, as well as the Miami-Dade County Public School System that's always been supportive. With that being said, I want to give our panelists an opportunity to speak because that's what we're here for, to hear the stories of our students. This first panel discussion is unique because for the first time ever, we brought back students who were panelists before, who shared their stories or were a part of the Student Voices experience and have now graduated and gone on to either college or starting their own business or working on being a part of our community throughout Florida. And so I'm going to give them each an opportunity to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Kaylin Rolfe. So Kaylin, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Kaylin. I did Student Voices my senior year of high school. I'm now 21 and I'm a senior at FIU.
Awesome, thank you. We're so glad to have Kaylin here with us. Next, I'm going to introduce Jared Merriweather. Jared, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Jared Merriweather. I'm now a junior at Corrigan Senior High School. I did the Student Voices program in middle school, and now I'm a student and I'm an amateur musician. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you so much, Jared. We're happy to have you with us. And we also have Shanovia Warren. Shanovia, can you please introduce yourself? Shanovia has a unique connection to Student Voices.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shanovia Warren, and I heard of the student panel by going to, when I was at Barry University, my junior year of college. I spoke with Ms. Heather Burdick, and she connected me with the Student Voices, and I'm just so fortunate to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanovia. We're happy to have you as well. Also, possibly joining us later will be Tommy Martinez, and he will be able to share his experience as a part of Student Voices. But just so that we can get started, I want to jump in first asking, just in general to Kaylin, and really to all of our panelists, but I'm going to let Kaylin start, and then we'll go around with the same order that they introduced themselves in. What high school did you experience the Student Voices program in, and what was high school like in general for you?
So I went to Palmetto Senior High. High school for me was quite easy until my sophomore, junior year, which is when I was first introduced to Student Voices, and evidently my bipolar disorder was when I was diagnosed. And that's when I really got involved with Student Voices because of that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us also. We appreciate your transparency. I'm sure there are students watching who may also be dealing with the same. So it's great when they can connect with others who are facing or have faced similar issues or similar challenges, not necessarily an issue. Jared, can you tell us what high school you experienced Student Voices in, and what was high school like in general for you?
Yes. Like I said, I participated in this program in my middle school experience. I was in 8th grade. I was in the middle of coming out and realizing who I am as a person. Middle school was kind of hard. I kind of focused on my studies a lot. I wasn't getting viciously bullied, but I got teased a lot. Student Voices helped me see the people who bullied me as people too, helped me develop empathy. And I've used that to navigate my high school experience now. And I'm a junior. I'm 16, almost 17 in a month. So I'm really excited on how Student Voices will continue to help me in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jared. All righty, Shanovia, can you tell us a little bit, same question for you, about how that experience watching it, especially with the other students, actually impacted you during that time?
Yes, ma'am. As mentioned before, I became involved with the student panelists with Miss Heather Burdick, who used to also work with MCCJ. And just speaking of this, issues that are going on in my area that also in Miami, I'm sure you face about discrimination. And what really helped me kind of get through that is learning how to forgive people and learning how to, once we forgive, that's when we can be free and liberated.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And I see we have Tommy who's joined us. Hi, Tommy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. I'm glad you were able to join us. Can you just tell us what high school you experienced the Student Voices program in, and what was high school like overall for you?
Of course. I went to Alonzo Tracy Morning Senior High School in North Miami, Florida. Obviously, it's Miami-Dade, sorry. High school is a little interesting. I mean, it wasn't the biggest school. It's a little 3-story building, not a lot of people, but it was very diverse, if that makes sense. So I think I had a good experience overall.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to ask the next question, and if you just kind of want to put your hand up if you want to be first to jump in and answer. What issue and or concern do you remember being prevalent at the time when you were in high school, and what overall impact did you witness Student Voices having on the students as they heard about that issue? Could have been on a panel that you served on or one that you actually experienced watching it. Which one of you all want to tackle that one first? All right, Kaylin, thanks.
So everybody on the panel that I spoke on, we all were talking about mental illness. And at the time, this was 2017, I believe, this mental illness was just coming to the forefront of the conversation. We weren't talking about it a lot in schools. And my panel, I think, was really important for these kids because these conversations weren't being had. A lot of them had never spoken to other people about their mental illness, and they were now raising their hand in these panels and asking questions and talking and learning in a way that I wasn't familiar with. I had never seen it. I wasn't asking questions about my own mental illness. So the fact that there was so much conversation happening because of our panel, I think was really important, and it changed my life.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I can see definitely how that would be impactful to you as well as others who witnessed those panel discussions. Tommy, I'm going to go down to you because I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to hear just in general, what did you share when you did serve on the panel? Or if you don't want to share specifically what you shared, what panelists shared something that really had an impact on you as you were, involved in the Student Voices program?
I can't really remember too well because it was so long ago, but I can tell you that in general, Student Voices kind of built something inside of me that allowed me to take into perspective someone else's life, because you never know what they're going through. And I was always a bigger kid. So growing up, I was a little meaner than I should have been to people who didn't deserve in any way, shape, or form. And once I joined Student Voices and got to see that other side, it kind of made me think more before I acted. Whenever I met someone new, I wasn't just rude to them. I wouldn't just insult them or anything. That's kind of what helped me personally.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. It really brings to mind a quote by Maya Angelou where she said that people may forget what you did, they may forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And so although you couldn't remember the specifics of each panel discussion, you still remembered that it made you feel more empathetic, that it made you a kinder person to others, and it made you consider the fact that your presence, being a little bigger than some of the other students, could potentially be intimidating. And because of that awareness, you were able to alter your own behavior so that you can take into consideration others' feelings. And so that says a lot about what Student Voices can do. All right, so I'm going to ask Jared and Shinovia the same. From what you remember when you were in, and all of you all have graduated within the last 5 years. So even though there might be some cloudy areas, a lot has happened in the last 5 years, let alone 2020 itself. From what you remember about the feeling and about the thoughts you had, was there anything in particular that stood out for you? Jared, Shinovia?
Amelko.
Okay.
I remember there being a sense of leveling the playing field. I used to see these kids as popular. I didn't really understand what being popular was. But I did understand that these people, these classmates, we were all trying to grow up way, way too fast. That was an issue that I saw. All of us were dealing with some sort of trauma or some way that's hurting us, something that's hurting us, I mean. And Student Voices gave us a way to bandage our wounds and a way to actually talk to people. And I remember it was it was the last day, and we were in a circle, and I said that I felt okay. And then I believe her name is Heather. She was like, "Oh, Jared, why did you say you only felt okay?" And I told her, like, this is the first time I've ever felt fine. So, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for making me see my classmates as, people instead of things to fear or things to kind of watch out for. I could finally see them eye to eye. And I really do thank Student Voices for that. It's given me a sense of bravery and a sense of courage that I never thought I would have, or at least middle school me never thought he would have.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for that. Shinovia, any perspectives you want to share?
Yes, ma'am. Just to piggyback on what Mr. Jared was saying regarding in high school, what I noticed is that with the student panel, although I didn't do it in high school because I went to was in a different county, I worked with Student Voices in college. But I noticed when I was in the circle, as Mr. Jared mentioned, and it was like a safe space where we can talk and discuss and kind of be open, kind of unveil ourselves without being judged. And I also think that's phenomenal that, it was for Mr. Jared to just say how he felt, okay, just like he, in a sense, felt safe around being the people that he was able to be around and discuss his challenges that he may have. And also the circle that I was in, a couple of my coworkers were able to discuss traumatic issues of, family, friends, being murdered and, endless things. But yet we were able to, discuss this in a confidential setting, and nobody was to be judged if they became emotional. So the fact that you can be around people and it's almost like, you're in unison with these people, they understand you. It's like they speak your language. And it really was heartwarming to me.
Thank you for sharing that, particularly about your personal experiences with, death in your family, and how even though you weren't a student member, that your involvement and engagement still allows you to support others and be supported. So thank you. Thank you for that. I want to transition a little bit because we want to make sure that our audience is engaged in this conversation on a different level. We actually have a poll that we've set up to allow our audience members to chime in and give us some feedback, just 4 simple yes or no questions that we're asking in regard to their involvement in Student Voices. So I want to make sure you'll see there on your screen a link that you can scan. And we're there at Slido. All you have to do is look for MCCJ. You can actually even scan the screen. You'll see that pop up a few times here. And if you go on Slido, you can see real time as people begin to chime in and give their perspective on those 4 questions. You'll be able to see the feedback that we're receiving from you all out there in the audience. Also, remember that you can always ask questions in the comment section. At the end, we will ask those questions, as many as we can get to. We'll answer those questions, I should say. You'll ask them, we'll answer to the best of our ability. And I want to mention, because we are speaking to an audience of students who are going into the holiday season, for some, this is going to be probably the most challenging holiday season, given the many deaths our country has experienced with COVID-19, also with the highlight of the racial inequities that we've been facing in our country over the last 300 or 400 years that have really come to the forefront for a lot of people. We've also experienced a division like no other. Politically, there's so much going on, but through all of this, the more we come together and the more united we are in our effort to be empathetic, as Tommy suggested, and to try to understand, as Jared, spoke of, and to try to share our own challenges, as Kaylin did, so that people can understand. And as Shinovia put so well, that we can do, another quote that I love is to first seek to understand and then to be understood. And I think that's really what Student Voices is about, helping us understand others and helping others understand us, so that we can be a kinder, gentler world that really moves forward to make things better for all of us as we experience life, and not focus so much on some of the negatives. We can focus on cures and advancements, and not on weaknesses and challenges. So with that said, I want to mention that there is a emergency crisis line. If any of you are in need out there during the holiday season, and even moving forward, it is available 24/7. That is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The crisis text line, you can text HOME, HOME, to the number 741-741, and that is for Miami-Dade County Public School students and also staff. The crisis text line, again, is text HOME, HOME, to 741-741. There's also a suicide prevention lifeline. This information is in the description below. So feel free to click on that link so that you can have access to that in case you need it, or in case you know someone who may need it, or perhaps you want to have the information on hand because someone may need it that you can share with, that you may not be expecting, that is struggling during this time, who may not have shared that just yet. So the Suicide Prevention Lifeline is a free support line available to allow people to talk. The number is 1-800-273-TALK. That's TALK. Again, that number is 1-800-273-TALK, which is TALK. There are other links in the description box that include the Trevor Project, which is crisis prevention and suicide prevention, specifically for counselors who are trained in the area of the LGBTQ plus community and the needs that those individuals may have when it comes to dealing with this holiday season, COVID crisis, all of what everyone's facing right now. The Trevor Hotline also has a text link. You can text START, S-T-A-R-T, to 678-678. Again, START to 678-678. And the Lifeline information, 1-866-488-7386, is also listed in the description below. If you can't remember anything else and you know you need help, you can always call the general helpline if you are in the area. That's 211. That's the general helpline, and they will be able to forward you to the correct person. And again, that number is 211. So I know that took a minute or so, but I want to make sure that's why we're here. That is the mental health and support resource line that is available to students in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And we want to make sure you know that those resources are there to support you. Moving back to our panelists, we have a few more questions of them, and then we're going to open it up to questions that may have come in from you all. So I'm going to ask this question, and if you just kind of want to put your hand up again like we did before and jump in. I don't want to put anybody on the spot right off. I know all of you have thought through some of this. I'm going to ask you, given all that has happened in 2020 this year, and then that's been a lot, what advice do you have for teenagers facing some of the same challenges you faced in high school, plus the new experiences that this year has presented to all of us? All right, Tommy, want to get us started?
Yeah, I'll get the ball rolling. I think the biggest thing, no matter if you're in high school, if you're a little kid, if you're an adult, because even now we all still face these same issues, it's just being able to mention it. Like, you're going through something to someone. It doesn't matter if it's your mom, your brother, your sister, a friend, a teacher, it can be anyone. And everyone has problems, like, believe it or not, it's a simple part of life. You just can't be afraid to mention it to someone. And that's the biggest thing. It's making people aware that you are going through something.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's so very true. That's why we do this, because Student Voice is about sharing your voice and sharing your needs so that the support and help that's available can be connected to those who are in need. So this is extremely important. What advice, Jared, Shinovia, Kaylin, would you have for someone? Kaylin?
I would agree. I think asking for help, while it's the hardest thing to do, it's the most important thing to do. We all need help. And especially in high school, it is so easy to feel so isolated. You know, your high school feels like your whole world, and it's so easy to feel small and isolated. And I don't think I even started to get better or to get a grip on what I was dealing with until I asked for help, whether it be therapy, whether it be a mom, a friend. There's online therapy. I've done it. It works. Asking for help, it's the only thing that's going to get you through 2020, through your obstacles. You can't do it alone.
That's right, Kaylin. And we don't have to do it alone. I'm glad that you mentioned the online therapy because it is quite effective. And there are several free online therapy resources that are available now. I also like the fact that you keyed in on, that people are feeling isolated, particularly because of COVID and the social distancing. Human beings weren't made that way. We thrive off of love and interaction. And so it is extremely difficult, particularly for those, I think about our elderly who are already isolated, who were already isolated prior to COVID, some of them, and now even more so. Just, keeping in mind that all of us, from the new infants that are coming into this world today, all the way to our elderly who, are spending their last days, here with us, that everyone is feeling this on some level. And so, yes, we're all experiencing this. And because of that alone, we're not alone. And so if help is needed, help is here. Just we need to know so that we can connect people to the right resources. Thank you for sharing that. Jared, Shinovia?
I'll go.
All right.
He can go first.
Okay, so we'll have Jared, we'll let you jump in, and then Shinovia will let you have the final on that question. And then I'm going to ask one more question, and I want to open it up to see what questions we have from the audience, if any.
Some advice that I've been practicing is practice kindness and love with everyone around you, even if they're not like around you, because I personally believe love is survival. We do, like you said, Miss Watkins, we operate on love. We can't really exist without it. We wouldn't exist without it. And I think it's important to realize that love isn't just a shared experience. You can also share it with yourself. And I think that treating yourself kindly and treating yourself with love and treating yourself with respect is it's not going to get you through 2020, because that's just a matter of time. But it's certainly going to help you understand your issues a lot better. I'm practicing it even to this day, and I'm really happy with how far I've come from like a scared 13-year-old, a questioning 14-year-old, even a confused 15-year-old, and now I'm almost 17. And I'm really proud of where I am now because I practiced so much love and so much kindness for myself. I treated myself with respect. And once you start doing that, you realize that you deserve it. It's not just a thing that you have to give yourself. You realize that you really, really, truly deserve to be treated with love and respect. And it's not coming from other people. It feels so much, not better, but it feels really good to know that you have your own back. It feels really good to know that you understand your own heart. And once you start practicing that a lot more, you realize that the world is just the world. You realize that you can do most anything if you just push yourself forward. And I'm really happy that I realized that at such a young age. And I'm really proud of everyone here because they've succeeded in so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jared. We're proud of you, and we're also proud of everyone that is here. This takes courage. It's not easy to come on a live syndication or broadcast. I shouldn't say syndication. We're not that big yet. a live broadcast on YouTube, which is one of the premier social media outlets, and tell the world that in a vulnerable space, that I am human and I am imperfect, and I need support. But the truth is, all of us are human. All of us need support. And all of us, whether or not we, stop for a moment to think about our vulnerabilities, all of us are vulnerable to all types of things that could happen. We don't know. Tomorrow, as the cliche says, tomorrow isn't promised. We know, ever more present that is very true. And so I am proud of all of you all for being vulnerable and for having the courage to say that at some point I needed help, or at some point I saw others who needed help and they got the support they needed. And so can you, to so many others out there who may be watching. With that said, Shinovia, I think we're going to wrap up this question with you, and then we have another question, and we have a few questions coming in from the audience. So I want to make sure we get to those. So Shinovia, same question in regard to any advice you would have for those watching.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Kaylin, Tommy, and Jared made some beautiful points. Jared about love and spreading love, because we all need love. And Caitlin and Tommy speaking about sharing, talking to someone that you feel comfortable. like developing peer groups, people you're comfortable with speaking about the situation, because it is true, we all are going through something. I noticed that this year, like for everybody, it has been challenging. And I'm not too much into a lot of social media. I'm trying to get develop more habits in that area. But I just did random acts of kindness of calling people on Zoom because I can't physically see them due to the coronavirus, you know, practicing social distancing, but calling them and just doing like a check-in or just a follow-up to see, you know, how's their day going. And, you know, it's surprising, it makes a world of difference, because so many people think, you know, oh, I'm going through this situation alone and nobody cares. And when somebody just randomly contacts them through the social media outlets, just thinking of you, it brings like hope, a sense of hope. So I would just recommend that sometimes you just need to just, like they said, reach out, ask for help, but also do the acts of kindness. Because not only it may come back to you, someone when you're down and having a difficult day, they may be able to return the favor and talk to you and brighten your day. So just being more like a family and contacting one another and being able to communicate and about what problems you're going through in a safe space, but also, you know, spreading the love, as Jared said.
Right, you're correct. The action piece, and that does bring all together. It ties in everything that was just mentioned between Tommy and Kaylin and Jared. Yes, that it is amazing when we practice it, you know, within ourselves, because whatever we possess, we with the world, even if, you know, we don't desire have inside is not positive. That's all we can give is what we have. Many methods, as you mentioned, it can be on Facebook or any other social media platform where people, you know, reach out, or a phone call, like you said, or letter. I know that snail mail isn't popular these days, but there's nothing like a handwritten note that you receive in the mail from someone, so unexpected and so personal, that can really lift someone's day or mood. So yes, these are all great suggestions that I hope that those of you watching are taking notes and thinking of maybe doing one or two of them. I want to turn us to our last question, because we have quite a few questions coming in the comments section. The last question is, I think you all kind of touched upon it pretty much in terms of acts, really, of what you would do or what you would suggest, little actions that can occur. So let me turn this over to the questions. The first question that came in that I think would be helpful, if any of you could key in on, is about social media and mental health. Several individuals want to know how social media plays into mental health amongst teenagers. So if you can kind of give your perspective, Jared, I think you're the youngest of the group here, so I'm going to ask you to start off there. And if either of the three of you want to jump in and just give us your thoughts on that. Social media, mental health, how do you think that connects for teens?
I'm so sorry. Social media and mental health, it's kind of a parasitic relationship. The more you are on it, the more you are prone to wanting to be better for it, if that makes sense. Social media for me, it's caused a sense of like, I want to say a lack of being wanted, or a lack, or an understanding that there's someone always better than me. But it also has given me a sense of confidence over my own life. It's a very confusing ideal. Social media has given me and everyone else so much. It's given me communication, it's given me an outlet for creativity. But in terms of mental health, it has the power to definitely deteriorate it or ameliorate it. When you see like pretty people, it makes you feel like maybe you're not pretty. And especially when beauty standards are conceptualized due to whiteness, POC kids and Black kids more specifically, we don't get that same treatment. We get we're told that we should look a certain way. We're told that our hair is too nappy. We are told that we don't speak correctly. We're told that our grammar isn't proper English when we tweet or a caption. So it definitely causes a sense of like, wow, no one really likes me. I should be better for them because that's how they're going to like me. But mental health, social media has this power to like completely rewire your brain. And I do think it's important to take breaks from it, like actual breaks, because when you actually speak to people and like can hug them and can tell them how you feel, it's so much better than just like making a caption or sending a text or making a tweet. It's just better because you can actually be understood and understand someone else through their own voice, through their own brain, through their own everything, instead of using social media as a medium. But returning back to the question, sorry, I'm kind of rambling.
No worries.
Mental health and social media, it's really one or the other. It's a toss up. It all depends on how you use it. And if you use it correctly, you will benefit. And if you are on it a lot and require it for your everyday needs, I think it's a good sign to get off it. Or if you're being affected by it in a negative way, it's a good time to get off. So I hope everyone watching is taking breaks for their eyes and for their hearts.
So social media holiday itself can actually be helpful, is what you're suggesting. I agree. I suggest that to people all the time. It's a great tool for connecting. It really is. But all things in moderation. I always say that most things are not all bad or all good. Most things just require moderation. And that's in what we eat. That's in, consumption of any kind, regardless if that's food, if it's music, if it's social media, anything that enters our space, our bodies, our souls, our spirits, anything that enters, we should be mindful and guarded to make sure that we're not overloading or overdosing on anything. So moderation is definitely key and important. I want to see if anyone else wants to answer that question. I do have a couple other questions that are more specific to certain panelists. Anyone else want to answer the question regarding mental health and social media? Nope. Oh, Tommy? All right.
Yeah, I can just touch on it really quick.
No worries.
I think the biggest thing that people need to remember whenever you're on your phone, on social media or whatever, is that that's not real life. Like anything said on social media it's not something that you should take personal. And I think that a lot of people become too invested in it and start to take things too seriously. And that's the problem. People don't know that split from reality and what's on your phone. And I know it's something very difficult to be able to handle, but it is a very big issue that I think needs to be touched on more just in general by the public.
Thank you for sharing that. That's very true. That there is a line between reality and what is made up, in a sense, to look like reality for many different reasons, and we all should be mindful of that. Anyone else want to take a stab at that question before I go on to the next? No. All right. Thank you all again. I cannot. I mean, you all are amazing in sharing and being transparent. The next question is more so for Kaylin. The question is, has it been easy sharing with friends or classmates that you deal with bipolar disorder?
It has been the hardest part of my life. Actually, every time I meet someone new, there's a trial period where I have to figure out, do I tell them? Is it necessary that they know? Are they going to be important enough that they ought to know? But it is, I think, a wonderful learning experience. Every person that I've told, that I've had to be open about it with, has been incredibly kind, incredibly intuitive. they can only do their best. In high school, it was a lot harder because I didn't even know what I was dealing with. So it was hard to be open and honest with people and say, hi, this is what I'm being challenged with, when you couldn't really tell them what it was that you were being challenged with. I didn't know what the boundaries of my mental illness was. I had a boyfriend who was so completely lost by my mental illness, and I couldn't help him because I didn't know what I was dealing with, and I wasn't seeking the right guidance. I wasn't going to therapy or finding help. So there was no way for me to really know what I needed of him and what I needed of my friends. And so I think asking for help from the right people and doing my research and finding out what it is, being very emotionally aware within myself of what I was dealing with, it made it a lot easier for other people to be accepting because I knew what I needed of them. So it's definitely not easy, but I wouldn't change it for the world. It's a part of who I am, and people love me for it, and I love myself for it.
Yay, Kaylin. I am so glad all four of you are here. You all bring such a unique, diverse experience in regard to just dealing with life in general. And, you know, when you're in the midst of high school and life after high school, and you know, what it means to go on each day dealing with all of the challenges that you're presented, but also appreciating some of the good things that happen in life, which include, you know, appreciating other people. Thank you. Thank you. Shinovia, did you want to say anything about social media and mental health?
Oh, I was clapping. I was just really excited about what she said. With the job, working with the Department of Juvenile Justice and working with children and traumatized children, I do notice when they do come in, the cell phone, the social media, they are, like Mr. Tommy said, they are invested. And it's like they can't live without it. And so going back to what the question you were saying before about social media, and also what Mr. Jared was saying, that it can be parasitic, you know, in the sense, it can be like detrimental to someone, like mental health, because they feel like they have to be, instead of them being their actual real self, they're trying to be the ideal person so that others can accept them for who they are. And I just want the Miami-Dade County Public School students to know, just be true to who you are, be yourself. You know, you may not have people to appreciate you at this moment, but if they're your real friends and they care for you, they're gonna accept you for who you are. No matter, you know, how you act, they're gonna appreciate you because they love you. So I would just say, just, you know, continue to just love yourself. And as Mr. Tommy said, try not to, I know it's hard, but try not to invest too much into the social media to where you're surrounded by all of this negativity. As you see on the news, there are kids that commit suicide based on being social media bullying. And I just want you all to know that you're important and someone cares for you and wants your best interests at heart.
This is true. Thank you. Thank you for that. I do want to mention again that the polls are open for the questions. Like I said, we have 4 very simple yes or no questions in regard to student voices. Also, you can ask your questions in the comments. We do have a few more questions that I want to ask the panelists from those who are watching. So I'm going to go back to Shinovia. Also want to mention the emergency crisis line, that is available 24/7. That information is in the description, so you can click on that. And like I said before, if you don't remember anything else, remember you can always dial 211 if you need help right away, and it is not a 911 emergency. Of course, if it is a life or death emergency, 911 is the best way to go. We want to, every life matters, and we want to make sure that we save everyone that we can, and let people know that support is here and you are not alone. That is the message that we want to send forth today. This next question was geared towards Shinovia. It piggybacks off of what you said before in regard to the Department of Juvenile Justice. The question was, how has Student Voices prepared you for working within the Department of Juvenile Justice, or perhaps even how is it giving you some additional perspective?
And thank you for the question. I feel that it has prepared me to work with the Department of Juvenile Justice. One of our mission statements is that we want to increase public safety, but also prevention, intervention, and treatment for our families, for the children families. It's helped me because I can be transparent and say, you know, I may not have experienced exactly what you have, or I may have experienced some of the similar situations that the youth have experienced, but I can be open and honest about it. I enjoy sometimes just really speaking to the my youth, because yeah, I can, like I said, I can be honest, I can, you know, be transparent, but also they can also feel it's a safe space for them to be open. What we speak about is confidential, and no one else, as long as they're not trying to hurt themselves or hurt someone else, is confidential what we speak about. And that way it begins to build a rapport with the youth and myself. So I think it's important, just sometimes people want you to be transparent and just be honest about, yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've had challenges, but I'm not the way I used to be. I've grown, I've matured, and I've experienced life situations that have brought me to the point that I am today. So, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Awesome. I do have another question, and I want to mention again, because the polls are open. You'll see kind of come across the bottom of the screen, the Slido link. You can scan it with your phone, or you can look in the description, the link, and key in. And once our broadcast has closed, we will still be checking the comment section, so that if people are interested in asking questions later, we can perhaps reach out. You can always go to our website, MCCJ, MiamiCCJ.org, and you can always reach out to us that way via email or contacting us by phone, and someone will get back to you and direct you in the right direction, lead you or guide you to where you can find the answer if we can't provide the answer. So I want to mention that. The next question is a general question, so that it's open to any one of you. What advice would you give to someone who may not necessarily be going through an issue, but want to help someone else who is? What do you say to someone who says, I myself, I'm in a place that I'm grateful and I have what I need, but I want to help someone else? What suggestions would you have? Tommy?
I can touch on that because I have some sort of experience with it. This came on a little bit after high school. I was a second-year college student, and I was in a fraternity at Indiana, and I was a new member educator. And one of the new members, I had noticed that something was wrong with him. He just wasn't himself. He was acting strange. I don't know I don't know how else to put it. So I just went up to him. I said, "Hey, how are you? Like, is everything okay? Like, if you need anything, I'm here for you. I'm on the committee in the house, the mental health committee. I'm here for you. If you need to talk to me, just let me know." And he said, "No, no, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about it." And 2 days later, he called me in the middle of the day and said, "Hey, Tommy, like, can I please come to your room? Can I talk to you? All this stuff." I said, "Sure. Like, I'm in classes, but just come by at like 5 or whatever time it was." And he came in and he asked everyone to leave. And it was just me and him. And he ended up telling me that that day that I had asked him, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay?" He had actually fully planned to kill himself that night. And he told me in detail everything. I don't want to talk about it too much right now because it's like confidential stuff, but it was bad. And he told me that the simple hello, like, how are you, it really helped him. And he ended up calling his dad that night too about it. Because of that, he realized that he wasn't alone, that people did care for him, believe it or not. And that is just my advice. You never know. like I mentioned in the beginning when I first joined, it's you never know what someone's going through. A simple hi, how are you? A simple smile and wave. These things go a long way, and that's what you can always do. You can just be friendly. That's the best way I can put it. Be friendly to people.
Right. A simple hi or hello is not really that simple. It's the little things that make the big differences. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your friend's story. And I would definitely have to agree with you when you mentioned, you know, just noticing the little things. You mentioned that your friend was acting quote unquote weird. And I like that you said that, because sometimes we don't know how to describe the behavior in particular, but we know that something isn't right. And in order for us to be helpful to others, we have to be whole in ourselves. We have to be aware and we have to be present. And so in that moment, Tommy, you were present enough to recognize that something wasn't right with your friend, something was different. And that allows you to key in to asking questions. And I think that's great advice. If we are first present, when we're with people, be with them, not on our phones and doing 2 or 3 or 4 other things. But when we're present, being present allows us to catch those little nuances, the little things that make a big difference. Just asking, like you said, if he was okay, that could have very well, as you mentioned, saved his life. That's a huge difference. Someone is here today because you stepped in with what seemed to be a simple question. So I just want to make sure that those who are watching remember that the little things make a big difference. If you're nervous about asking, what do you lose by asking? Even if the person says, no, I'm fine, that's great. They're fine. And you can ask maybe the next person that it doesn't feel right, and maybe they won't be fine. So just because you reached out and it didn't necessarily lead to a savior experience, which is not really what this is about. It's about making sure that we all feel that we have the support we need. But even if the first time doesn't result in that, it doesn't mean that that won't be needed another time. So pushing past those fears and extending that hand across may save someone's life, like Tommy did. The next question is geared again to all the panelists. If you could write a book about your life so far, what would be your title? That's a great question. Who wants to start off? Jared.
I would name it All the Stars in My Sky, because not only are stars really important to me, just in general, I realize that people who love you, they become like these balls of light that kind of live in your heart. And every time one of them texts you or gives you a hug or lets them know that they're thinking of you, it lights up. It really does. I've been recently going through a hard time. I don't really want to talk about it. I'm sorry to everyone watching if you were curious. But my best friend, they randomly checked on me. And I was so shocked. I was like, I'm usually the one that does this. I'm usually the one checking on her. I'm usually the one checking on them. I'm usually the one checking on my friends. So to be checked on and be like, hey, if you're not okay, that's okay. I'm here. It allowed me to, my heart just kind of swelled with light and love. And I don't know, just the sky is it has the power to be so beautiful and so ugly and so different and so monotonous and so colorful all at once. And that's life.
Mm-hmm.
Life is not just a timeline. It's a crazy but gorgeous conglomerate of good moments and bad moments and tears and smiles and laughs and the best tastes in the world and the best smells you could ever smell. Life isn't just it's not just a cesspool of moments. It's a whole orchestra of different instruments coming together. It's a whole garden of different wildflowers. And it's a whole galaxy if we're gonna go back to my title, because even if one star isn't the brightest, it's still a star. Everyone in my life has varying importance, of course, as everyone does, but there's never been someone in my life that's never been unimportant to me, because everyone's important and they deserve to know that they're important.
Thank you for sharing it, Jared. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Kaylin, you want to tell us what your title would be?
I think I would call it The Beauty in Backwards Progress, because I used to get so frustrated whenever I fell back a little, or whenever I was having a rougher week, or whenever my grasp on my emotions loosened. But I think in every step forward, sometimes there's 2 steps back, and all of that is learning. All of that is learning. Your happiness is not linear. Progress is not linear. Some days are going to suck, and some days are going to be really hard. And the beauty in that is that you get to learn, and you don't get the amazing, beautiful, happy moments without sometimes the really rough, sad, yucky moments. In order to understand how beautiful life and feelings and emotions and your mental health is, you have to experience the harder parts. And I don't know, sometimes I scream and I cry for 3 days straight, and then I have the most beautiful, happy, sunny day. And I wouldn't have experienced that beautiful, happy, sunny day if I hadn't have had to live through the rough past 3 ones. So I think The Beauty in Backwards Progress is my book title.
Beauty and Backwards Progress. I love that. We got stars, we got beauty. All right, Tommy, Shinovia, what would you title your book?
She can go first, or I can go. It doesn't matter.
Oh, you can go first, Tommy.
You sure?
All right.
All right.
Yeah, you want to tell us what the title of your book would be?
Yeah, sure. And I don't want to sound plain, but I'm pretty straightforward in my things. Mine would be simple and straight to the point. It's just don't give up. And I say that because these past 3 years have been the hardest 3 years of my life. And I'm young, I'm 21, but still, post high school is not easy. I ended up just to quickly touch on points on what's happened. I was forced to drop out from college. I got hit by a drunk driver while walking at 20 miles an hour. I thought I was going to die. My dad got hit. He got T-boned a month later. One of my pets died. He passed away a month after that. Then I found my best friend who had passed away on our couch. I found them in our house in Indiana. I found them, and that was the darkest point. And 2 months after that, COVID happened, and then it's everyone's cooped up inside. But thankfully, I have a good support group that I was able to reach out to and just keep things rolling. And I wouldn't be who I am today without these things happening to me. It's at the time, it's why is this happening? Why does this happen to me? I don't deserve any of this, but it is what it is. It shapes you as a person. And that's why I think Don't Give Up is just that title for me.
That's right. Don't give up. I'm so glad you didn't give up, Tommy. And we will continue to be a network as a part of not just the student voices who are current, but even those who were there before, like you all. We have 32 other previous student voice panelists who are wanting to share their stories, and we will give them the platform and an opportunity to do so. We will continue this series live, virtually. The goal was to do it once a month. Perhaps we should do it more frequently. That's why we open the polls, to see what people would like to see happen with our student voices, if they want to see more of this happen in their schools and more frequently. Shinovia, I'm going to give you a second to give your title. We did have a couple more questions, but we're rounding out to the end of our hour. So I'm going to ask you if you could briefly tell us what your title would be, and then I'm going to throw out the last question. I do want to mention a couple things before, so that we don't get cut off. So let me give you your time to share what your title would be.
Okay, I'll make it quick, brief. My title will be Resiliency is the Key to Persevering in Life. And just the different struggles that I face, having a learning disability, struggling in college, family deaths, other traumatic experiences. One thing I learned, it's not easy to always bounce back, but when you bounce back, you're able to move forward and you're able to continue in a straight path. I apologize, straight path. So just learning how to just forgive, move forward, and grow is the key. And never give up.
All right, that's true. Before I finalize things, I do want to again just thank the Miami Foundation and the Miami-Dade County grant that was awarded to MCCJ to put this on, as well as the Bachelor Foundation, the Corporation for National Community Service, Volunteer Florida. It takes a team to make these efforts work. Of course, I want to send a huge thank you to MIG, who streamed this live for us today. And just to finish off by saying 211 if you need help or assistance, 911 if it's life-threatening. Thank you all so much. We did have a couple more questions. We will do our best to answer those in the comments below. Any last minute words before we sign off from anyone? Yes, Jared?
Please be kind to everyone you meet. I know it sounds like childish, especially from the youngest one in the group, but please, please practice kindness for other people and especially yourself. I know that, like, as I've been growing up, I've been my worst critic. I've been my most vicious bully, and I've been my most harmful abuser. As I've grown up, my emotional bruises have healed, or I'm still in the process of healing. And kindness and time is a remedy to that. Pretty please be kind to those that you come into contact with or lack of contact with, especially now. Because kindness is all you can do. Kindness is all we really can do in times like these that have been plagued with rampant racism and homophobia and transphobia, with deaths of trans women and men, especially in America. Kindness is the key to everything, really. Once you practice kindness for those around you, you begin to develop empathy. You begin to develop a space in your heart for other people. You begin to develop just a brighter world. And when you begin to be kind to yourself, you realize that your heart grows a new chamber for you. It's not just you using your heart for other people and leaving yourself out of it. A room grows there for you. It's not just a boring room with nothing in it. It's your room. It glitters and it shines and it sparkles with everything that's inside of you. So please, please nurture yourself. Please take care of yourself. Drink water, take your meds, call your mom, call a friend, text someone. Whatever you need to do, please do it. I promise you with every chamber that lives inside my little heart, you'll be better off. And I want you all to know, all the panelists, Ms. Watkins, take care of yourself today and tomorrow and every day after that. And I love you. And I know that you guys don't really know me, but there's a chamber for everyone in here too.
Thank you so much, Jared. That was the perfect way to end today. One of the comments that was given, it's exactly what you said. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive them just as you would want to be forgiven. I think you summed it up perfectly. Just be kind to yourself, to others. Be kind, and we will experience a kinder world. Kaylin, Jared, Shinovia, Tommy, thank you all so much. I want to thank the board of directors for MCCJ, who work tirelessly and extend their kindness on a regular basis in their efforts to making MCCJ an organization that continues to thrive 85 years later. we're still here doing things like Student Voices to make sure that we all do experience a kinder world, particularly right here in our own community in Miami. Thank you all, and I look forward to the next Student Voices panel discussion.
All right, thank you.